Let's go, Rider Nation.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Get the feeling now. Get 'em high, get 'em low. 'Cause we're dealing now. Everybody's giving it all they got. 'Cause we're ready.
Welcome to a Thursday night with the Piffles podcast featuring replacement Steve. That's so funny. When you
I'm
jumped
so happy
on,
that stuck.
when you jumped on, Jeff, it shows up on the top of our screen. Replacement Steve has entered the studio, and yeah, we lost ourselves laughing there.
I love it. I think it's great.
So of course it's Thursday night. The CFL awards are actually on as we speak. We just found out that Jamarcus Hardrick won the Offensive Lineman of the Year award. I think none of us are surprised by that one. But what I learned,
Vavel just won double awards. Outstanding
rookie and special teams. Yeah, that's not surprising either. But what I learned was that the CFL moved giving out the Coach of the Year award until the CFL Combine. So,
What?
yeah.
Well, Derek Taylor just casually dropped that on Twitter today. So
Should be a no-brainer though. It's pretty pretty obvious.
Which is weird because it's supposed to be a regular season award. So let's delay it even further. That makes no sense to me, but
This is the CFL, Alex.
yeah, a lot of things they do doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
You think we're new here, but alas, we're really not.
So we're continuing our look ahead to the Grey Cup. And of course, we figured what better way to do that than to bring on a Grey Cup champion, rider legend, Jeff Fairholm joining us. Jeff, how's things going out in Calgary tonight?
Oh, things are good. It was a nice warm day. We're chilling down tomorrow, but for the middle of November, this is fantastic. I'll take it.
We're going to start with the West Final. You were there. We won't get too much in depth in that because we are going to look ahead to Montreal. But give us your thoughts on what you saw in Regina when you were there watching the Riders beat the Lions.
Well, let me talk about what I experienced first, because I'll tell you, the crowd and the atmosphere, the stadium was second to none. I've been to a lot of football games. I played in a lot of football games, and I've been to a lot of football games, and that was second to none. That crowd was just going crazy. And as a player, you don't really get that high and that low at games. But I'll tell you, when we got that touchdown at the end, we were hugging and high-fiving, and it was just great. What an atmosphere. It was just so much fun. Now, the game itself, it was scary. The first half was not great. But that second half was one of the best halves I've seen. And yeah, to come back like that, it really showed our resilience. It showed what this team is capable of. Willette just took it right to them on the first couple of drives. He was really running the ball well. And he's a force. And there were a couple bad things, of course, but overall, you win a game like that, it's a 50-50 chance, and they came away with the win. And what more can you ask for? It was just fantastic.
Now, one thing we all noticed at the end of the game, the team didn't take the West Division trophy. They didn't look like they wanted anything to do with the West Division trophy. Do you make much of that at all?
Yeah, I'm a really superstitious guy. I mean, when I played, I was very superstitious, and I wanted my routine and, right sock on first, left sock on second, and then the opposite coming off. I was very superstitious. So, if there's even a chance that touching that thing is going to give you a bad omen, I wouldn't be touching it either.
Well, you look at what the Alouettes did. Alouettes couldn't grab that trophy fast enough. So I guess it depends on what you believe. If that's not the trophy you're playing for, or if you're just happy celebrating that, it's kind of wild what different teams do.
Yeah, I don't want to mess with the gods, whatever football gods are up there. So if someone says don't touch it, I'm not touching it. So that, and it kind of shows what this team's about. I mean, they've had one goal all year, and it's not that trophy. It wasn't winning that game, although they needed to win that game. It's going to the Grey Cup and not being satisfied with just being there. It's winning the Grey Cup. That's what this team's all about. And I wasn't crazy about what Harris said before the Western Final and saying we're dogs and everything else. and we belong here. I mean, that's okay. He's a leader, but you know what? I believe it. I mean, these guys have a sense of destiny, and they feel like they really belong there. A way different team than last year, even though a lot of the players are the same. They're a very different team mentally, I think.
I just want to tail off on that for a second. So speaking of Harris, and Alex brought it up on with Derek Taylor, this is a different Trevor Harris. Like typically Trevor is very much that disciplined sound bite. You're not going to get a lot out of him, but for some reason in the playoff, he's decided he's going to give bulletin board material to everyone around him. What do you take of that?
Well, I think you said it. He's giving bulletin board material for everyone around him. He's not giving bulletin board material to the other team, albeit it might be, but he's giving bulletin board material for the guys in that locker room and for the fans that need to believe, and we do believe. So I think that something changed in this team where they believe it. They're strutting it, and they're putting their money where their mouth is, as they say.
Did you have a guy on that 1989 team that kind of went that way and decided to take the pressure off the rest of the guys in the locker room by saying something?
No, we really didn't. We had a very quiet team. We were 9-9, so it's not like we blew the league away, and we didn't have a lot of guys in that team who had been to a Grey Cup, so it was all new to us. It was certainly new to me. I was a second-year player, but it was new to a lot of the guys in the locker room, and we had leaders. Don't get me wrong, but we didn't have people that would stand up and be like that. We were more of a bring your lunch pail to work and, just go to work every day and be quiet, be humble, do your job, and then celebrate after.
Now, we'll talk about the Alouettes game in just a few minutes, but looking back to 1989, we know the story of how you guys went into Edmonton and beat the unbeatable effectively. What was the mentality of that roster going into the Grey Cup game against Hamilton after a game like that?
That's a good question. We were so happy to win that game, and we were a team that was just, hey, we were happy to win the Western Semi. We were, oh my God, we're going to the Western Final, against the 16-2 team. But we didn't. Well, I mean, we expected to win, but we really didn't have any expectations. We were happy to be there. We just wanted to do our job. There was no pressure on us. It was all on Edmonton at the time. And then when we came away with a win, we were loose, and we were loose in Toronto when we were there in '89. God, that's a long time ago now, but we were really loose. It feels like yesterday, but we were really loose. I mean, I think Suter had a birthday, and we taped him to the goalpost, and our practices were, a little bit of installation, but really just, we didn't do much. We just sort of stayed loose and got well. I was hurt. I had a bad ankle, and talk about being superstitious. I didn't play in the last game of the regular season against Edmonton. I got my ankle shot up for the Western Semi, and I played about 3 quarters in and out, and then I got it shot again in the final, and my ankle was fine, but I got it shot anyway in the Grey Cup because we were winning. So I ended up getting shot in my ankle for that one. So, it's bringing back all these memories. Now you wonder why I hobble now. But, we were having fun. We were loose. We wanted to win the game. And then when we got in there, in the game itself, and we had a chance to win, it was, all bets are off at that point.
Worth it when you get a 75-yard touchdown in the Grey Cup game, right?
Yeah, I was volunteering this morning at the hospital, and 2 of the ladies I work with every Thursday, didn't know I played football, and somehow it came out, and they were like, "What?" So I showed them some pictures, and I showed them a picture of me running into the end zone. And it's just things you take forever. And I think I said it on my little segment last week, where what drove me wasn't so much the winning; it was, what if you don't? And I'd already been through in '88 when we lost the semi, I guess it was, at home to BC. That the garbage bag day the next day is the worst. It's the worst feeling that you can ever imagine. And I didn't ever want to do that again. And I don't think anyone else in that locker room did. So, so when we got into a position to win, for me anyway, I won't speak for the rest of the guys, but for me, it was almost a fear of losing. I just didn't want to have that feeling anymore.
So what does that mean for this year's team? I guess everyone's different, but what is the mentality of this team? Is it like winning your legends, or don't want to be sad when you're packing up your stuff at the end of the year.
I think everyone's different. I think from what I see, this team is win and we're legends. This is our destiny. We're dogs, as they like to say. We were first in the league this year in wins. We had a chance pretty much to win every game this year. So I think they'll be disappointed if they obviously, this is going to sound stupid. They're going to be disappointed if they don't win. Who wouldn't be, right? But I think they have every expectation that they're going to go in here and beat the Alouettes or whoever happened to be in front of them.
Now they have obviously Corey Mace is a big time players coach. We hear how much guys would run through the wall for him. What was John Gregory's message to you guys the entire week leading up to the game?
Well, I don't know if you guys know, but John had brought in when Suter had that really bad interference call against BC about halfway to 3/4 through the year, John brought a sports psychologist in, and I think it was more for him than for us. But we played along, and we put the tape on the fingers as our ring. The future ring was to be on there, and I think this guy had a really good effect on John. And John was a great coach, but he was also very quiet. He was pretty fiery sometimes on the sidelines. But we only had 6 or 7 coaches. It's not like it is now. So we were very, very close to our coaches, and each individual position coach or unit coach, I should say, really did the job for John, which is John was sort of that head coach mentality. He just let everybody else do that work. And so a lot of the guys that we had, like Pal Sartori and Pal was my guy. So it was just, they were very calming in the locker room, and gave us the game plan and made us believe that what they were giving us was right, and obviously it was.
Does much really need to be said though? Because you guys know why you're there in the big game. Like, did anybody really need a big rah-rah speech?
No, you don't need that at all. When you go to, we went to the Grey Cup, I think on a Wednesday before the Sunday. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. And, so we were living out of a hotel, and, we were together, and, that was my hometown. I went to high school in Toronto when we went to Toronto, and I stayed in the hotel. I didn't see any family. I just tried to keep my routine as consistent as I could. I mentioned I was superstitious, but I like my routine. I wanted to make sure it was the same because it was working for me, and I didn't want anything to interrupt that. So that's what you try to do. And, you try to treat it like any other game, but man, it is not, because I'll tell you, the worst thing about the Grey Cup as a player, the worst thing is after warmups until intros, or after warmups to the kickoff. It's a long time. All you want to do is get going. And it's difficult on you. It's outside of your comfort zone, but you just have to deal with it. And as a professional, you're ready to play, I promise.
So if we stick with that 1989 team, you guys had a pretty solid receiving group. You, Ray Elgard, Don Narcisse, Mark Guy, and it seemed like everybody stepped up at different times. Mm-hmm. Do you see a big comparison between the 89 group and the Riders receiving core in 2025?
I do. I've been thinking about that all year, because you mentioned 4 of us and we were the starters, but you got Duke Ellingson and Rob Bresciani, and Jeff Bentram stepped up in as a receiver in the West Final, and so we had all these guys, and it was that next man up mentality. We didn't use that terminology back then, but it was certainly next man up for us, and they have that. We've had a lot of injuries in the receiver group this year, and with Emlis being down and Schaefer Baker being down, and now Johnson being down, and it just seems like we just plug in the next guy, and Harris finds him and hits them, and Harris has great respect and trust in all of these receivers, and he's not afraid to go to anybody. Well, save for one maybe now, but we can talk about the last game. But it's just been fantastic, and anybody we put in there, even when Willette was out and Bertrand Houdin was running the ball and Anderson was running the ball, it's just a very, very, very well-rounded team, and they can plug anyone in there to win football games.
I just got to step in and break some news. Logan Ferlin won the Jake Goddard Veterans Award. So that's the 4th rider in a row.
Good. Good for him. Good for him.
That's my boy.
Yeah.
Haven't noticed that over the last couple
Yeah, I know.
years.
Yeah, all right. Obviously, we talked about the team. What's it like for a player though? Like obviously, you got your usual workouts, you got your stretching, you got your video sessions, your planning sessions, but there's a bunch of extra bells and whistles to it. How does that affect you as a player?
You try not to. I tried not to partake in those bells and whistles. I had to go to. I had to. I was up for Canadian. I was a Western Canadian nominee in '89, so I had to go to the Shenley Awards as they were called then, and I lost again. But it was, I went to that, but that was really the only extracurricular thing that I did. Otherwise, everybody sort of just stayed in their hotel rooms. We had a lot of extra meetings. It was a little different back then because we met for, they can only keep us for 4.5 hours. It was even the league rule during the Grey Cup, but we were a tight knit team. We played cards together, which we would do in the locker rooms a lot. And guys didn't go out and do anything. We just, I tried to, like I said, just tried to stay with as much as the same routine as I could. Go to the field the same time, and we had the same time practice, which was nice. And it was just, you're just eating more meals with your friends. That's it. That's really all it was. But you try to keep the same routine because you don't want anything to be outside of your comfort zone, because it's strange enough going to play a championship and you got a lot of people tugging at your coattails for interviews and things like that. But you just do your job, which is on and off the field. But come game time, you just get ready to go and you try to keep your same routine. I keep saying it over and over.
So let's look ahead to this game against Montreal on Sunday. With what you're seeing from this team this year, what would you say is the biggest key to victory for the Rough Riders this week? Is it running the ball? Is it the defense? What do you have?
Well, I think it's two things. I've been saying it a lot in my little 10-minute segment on CKRM, where we got to keep Harris upright and we've got to get pressure on their quarterback. Those are the two keys. It's often our offensive line and our defensive line. That's where it starts and finishes. So we have Montreal is going to come with a lot of blitzes, a lot of very creative blitzes. They're going to show blitz and drop out. Harris can wade through all of those weeds. I'm not worried about him. What our offensive line has to do, and I think that's where Johnson's really key too. Hopefully Johnson's playing, because he's a great blocker. A lot of people don't see that, but inside he's been a great blocker and picking up that 6th and 7th guy. But back to my point, we got to keep Harris upright. If we give him time, he will find the receivers. The receivers have shown to get open, and then defensively, like I think we were playing 9 defensive linemen throughout the season, and I think we only played 7
Yeah.
last week. So I haven't seen it obviously, but I hope we get that 9 back again so we keep them fresh, because we've got to put pressure on on Alexander. You're a mess, Alex.
I launched my mouse off the table and it hit the door stopper.
There you go. At least your dog hasn't jumped on you yet. But we got to put pressure on Alexander, especially with a bad hamstring. I don't care what they say. It's getting better. He's treated well. Hamstrings are hard, man, and they can go at any time. So he's not going to be full strength, and we need to put him on the run so that hopefully, it's going to sound terrible, but I'm an old football player. Hopefully he yanks that hamstring out the window and we can get him out of the game. I'd like to see the old guy in there, standing in there. But it's going to come down to the offensive and defensive lines. That's what I've been saying all year. And then, if we get pressure on Alexander, our back end can do what they do. They play that soft zone. It drives me crazy, but it's been working for them. But they play that soft zone, and the less time we give the quarterback, the tighter those zones will be, which just plays in our favor.
Is there anybody in particular you see that maybe steps up and makes that big play that changes the game on Sunday? One play.
Yeah, I knew that question was going to come up. You didn't tell me, but I kind of knew it. I've been thinking about it. And, it's one of two. I'll go with the easy choice. I think it's going to be Emilus. He took that game over last week. He had some amazing catches for first downs. I had said last week that Schaefer Baker would be the guy. He's sort of my 1B, if you will. I think he's going to have a good game. I think he was a little angry with himself with how he started out that game last week. I don't think anyone was really used to that cold, and I think the ball was bouncing, a little hard for their hands, let's say. But but I have to go with Emlis. I think Emlis is just going to have a breakout day. And, yes, for one, I gave you Schaefer Baker, I gave you Emlis, and you can't count out Willette either. I mean, that guy is he's a tank, and when he gets going, we need to really get that run game going. He's what a great player and a great leader. I just love watching these guys.
I know as the receiver, you like seeing the ball getting aired out and everything, but when it comes to running the ball, like, are you as a player, were you like really happy to get in there and throw blocks and see, big runs? Milson Jones, I think, at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. When it was Milson time, when we were ahead and we got into the last couple minutes, we just gave the ball to Milson and he would get first down. So it was up to us, and we knew it. We knew that we'd have to throw those blocks. And when I first came into the league, I had a lousy senior year at Arizona. I had less catches that year than Chuck Cecil, our star free safety, had interceptions. So I had a blocking. I played every down, and I had a blocking year. I just changed the offense, and I learned how to block. I wanted to be part of the team in any way that I could. I knew I wasn't going to see the ball that much, and I carried that over. And then you have leaders like Elgard, who's out there blocking and running downfield, and I couldn't be like him because he's 3 times the size of me. But I did what I could to nose in there, and they had me what we called slush blocking, where I had my hand on the tackle and then sort of taking on anybody who's coming in. And I had some big guys, and I just stuck my head in there and did what I could to keep them off the quarterback. And then you watch, you don't know that you're making that big of an impact until the next day or the day after when you're watching the film, and you're kind of looking at it. Nobody might say anything, but you kind of looking at it, go, yeah, I had help. I had a hand in that play. So it's nice to feel that way as a receiver. And I see that with this team. I see these receivers are all blocking. I mentioned Johnson, and I've noticed him several times on the inside blocking downfield. And it's dangerous. It's my dad always used to tell me, don't stand around the pile. But when you're blocking and your feet stop moving, it gets pretty dangerous with people running up on you. But you just got to be brave, like running over the middle and catching the ball, and do your job. That's what it's all about.
So you are part of one of 4 rider teams that has won a Grey Cup.
Mm-hmm.
If the guys pull off the game this weekend, that brings them into a very small fraternity. What do you think that's going to mean to their futures, how they're going to feel, this fan base in general?
Well, I know how I feel, and I'll tell you how I've felt and feel in a moment. But I hear a lot of talk, and it's all talk, but I really truly believe that these guys believe that they're playing for this province, for the Rider fans. I really, really believe that. We were playing for our province. We were playing for guys like Aldag and Poley and Jurison and Elgard, guys that have been around for a long time and never been to the show and certainly never won it. And that's what. And then when you win it, you are just embraced by a province. I mean, you guys were at the game last week. Here's some old guy and they want me to go down and pump up the crowd at the start of the third quarter. I mean, I'm still remembered. I still see people wearing 18 jerseys, although you weren't, Greg. But it was, I still see people with my name on the back, and it just means so much. And it's not so much because I was a great player. It's because I was part of a team and part of something that brought this to the province. And the province and the people really believe it, and they're all in with you. And this team understands it, and that's great credit to Coach Mason, to Jeremy O'Day, and to Craig Reynolds, because they've instilled that culture of Sask first, and these people of the province deserve it as much as you do, and go out there and show them that you believe in them because they believe in you, and they play harder for it. And I truly believe that the fans that get behind them love them, and they feel it. They feel out on the field. I promise you can feel it. And then their legacy going forward is going to be the 5th team to ever win a Grey Cup, and since 1910. That's insane. And these guys will be legends. And you know what? Just go make a play, and you'll be, it'll be your legacy for the rest of your life, regardless of what you do after football.
Tell you what, they win on Sunday. I'll go get one of those 1889 Fairholm replicas. Those are sweet looking. I didn't realize they were the 89.
Did you get a
replicas.
chance to see those, Jeff?
I
He
actually
wore
got
one.
it.
He was wearing it on the field.
Yeah,
That's how I saw it. That's how I saw it.
I stole it. I walked. Okay, see you guys. I just walked out. But yeah, I got a couple of them, and I got one for my son, my daughter, and they said, "Here, Jeff, here's another one." I said, "It's okay. I've got the real one. It's hanging up somewhere." So, yeah, no, it's great. And it's nice to be remembered. It's nice to feel relevant again. But it's these guys that are on the field on Sunday, and like I said, it's their legacy. And God, I hope they win.
I do have to ask, and just channeling back to that the '89 retro jersey that they had. Sorry, throwback, not retro. It's not that old. But they only had 4 players there: Bobby J, Don Narcisse, Dave Ridgway, and yourself. When you see that, just having your name in with those guys, how does that feel?
I was shocked when I saw it. I'm sitting here and was looking over my monitor, and I'm looking at that picture that I've got framed with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 10 guys on that long one. And I happen to be in there, and I'm honored to be on that. But to be honored as one of 4, albeit in the back, I was kind of taking some and putting them all in the front, but that's okay. No,
I'm stock rotation. It's fine.
Oh no, that's right. No, I'm honored, Alex, and it's I've always tried to be a very humble guy, but that was very humbling to see my name with a retro jersey like that. And it's okay to call it retro. They're cool jerseys, and my daughter who was with me got a real kick out of it, and yeah, it's fun, but it's a real honor.
I do have to ask. We're now 3 days out from the big game. We've talked all about it. Who's in, who's out, what's coming. What's your expectations of the game? How do you see this game playing out?
I see it being a mid-scoring game, sort of 20 to 25, 25-20, 23-20, somewhere around there. Depends on the weather. I made some predictions last week before checking on the weather, and I didn't have enough clothes on. But playing in cold weather, the teams aren't used to it anymore. Like, we used to play 2 or 3 games in cold weather before the playoffs started, and we got used to it. Whereas last week they were kind of shocked by it. A couple drops here and there, and the fans, I don't think wore. And I got a little worried when I saw people wearing their snowmobile suits, and I was wearing two sweatshirts. But it all depends on the weather. If it's a nice day, I see it being a mid-20s score. I don't know what the line is. I know you guys probably do your Piffles picks today or tomorrow. I'm not sure. But
they're last I checked, they're still 4-point favorites.
They're 4-point favorites. Yeah, that's interesting. Anyway, I see us winning. I see us winning in a close game, and quite frankly, I hope Lothar gets a chance to kick the game-winning field goal. I'd love to see that. It would be great for him. Not so good for our hearts.
No, I hope it doesn't come down to that. I hope it could be like the 2013 West semifinal where Chris Milo had a couple big kicks in the fourth quarter, one to put them ahead, and then one to kind of ice the game at the end. It could be like that, where he gets that 40-yard kick with a minute left to put us up by 2 scores, let's say.
Not last second. Not last second.
No.
You can't take it. Okay. As long as we win, I don't care what happens. Let's these guys are going to play as hard as they can.
Like, win with at least 30 seconds on the clock, not 11. Like, give us a few more seconds.
I was still worried with 11 seconds. I almost wanted that catch not to be legal and then score again, because I was worried with 11 seconds. I was stressed up there, I'll tell you.
With Nathan Rourke and his magic, you never know.
Yeah.
He made some plays, didn't he?
He sure did. He's fun to watch.
All right. Well, game coming up on Sunday. Looking forward to it. Jeff, it sounds like you're looking forward to it. Go Riders.
I'm gonna have some serious FOMO not being there, but I'll be at the next 2, one here in Calgary and then one in Regina. So yeah, it's just gonna be fun. We got a bunch of people coming over, and I've made a bunch of Calgary fans at the gym, Sask fans, and people are starting to buy jerseys. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna be as nervous as everybody else, but at the end of the day, just have one more than they do. That's really all that matters.
Exactly. All right. Well, Jeff, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it. And go Riders.
Thanks, guys. Go Riders.
The ghost behind your mind are waiting for you. I won't pretend to be blind like I've had for so long. The ghost behind your mind are waiting for you.
Thank you for being such a big supporter and fan of the CFL and myself personally.